For those of you that don't know, and you might be one of them, years ago, when we had a brand new superintendent at the state park, Monte Diablo, he found out that we were, every December 7th, we would go up to the mountain. We were brave in those days. We would go up the mountain and hold our December 7th services. Well, then we get a new superintendent, and he mandated that we had our own insurance policy. And we were like, what? Congressman Mark DeSaulnier pulled out his checkbook, his own personal checkbook, and wrote a check for $500 so the Pearl Harbor survivors could go out and get an insurance policy for one day out of his own pocket. So then my dear sister, who's older than I am and smarter than I am, she put the pen to the paper and wrote a nice little letter to the editor in the Contra Costa Times, to the point where the editor called her and the superintendent called her and said, back off, what do I have to do? This is how Save Monte Diablo came into play. Save Monte Diablo said, wait a minute, our anniversary is December 7th. We will sponsor this event. We will co-sponsor it with the Pearl Harbor survivors, and now it's co-sponsored with the sons and daughters. We ride on their insurance policy. So it doesn't cost the Pearl Harbor survivors a penny with the insurance policy. So we tried to refund everybody that wrote a check, and Mark said no. Use it for maintenance of the beacon. So that just goes to show you that, the congressman in the 11th district, he does take care of his own.
I've got nothing else.
You've tried. Any other questions for Ryan? Yes.
I don't have a question, but I would like to add perhaps a relative note to the comments concerning the delays within the VA. There is an area within the VA that there are no delays. In fact, they are ahead of the program, and that is the National Cemetery, where they govern the VA cemeteries and stuff. My case in point, I am one of the unique individuals, I think, who has pictures of his own tombstone. My tombstone has already been prepared. I have pictures of it. It's in the military cemetery at Fort Snelling, St. Paul, Minnesota. And how this came about is, and it's a common occurrence, I think, that how it came about is my wife predeceased me. She is there with my mother and father and brother, and therefore in a column, cremated or anyway. And so her tombstone was prepared, but ours are prepared together. So when I go there and take a picture of her tombstone, my name is on that thing. Fortunately, they have forgotten the dates to put in yet, so I'm still here.
And Dawn, that brings up an excellent point. You, as the veteran, if you're married and your spouse goes first, your spouse is allowed to be buried. Now, out in Dixon, the front of the headstone, if you're in the ground, the front of the headstone has the qualifying member, which would say like Commander Donald Long. On the back side would be your wife's name. Where B.J. Smith and John Tate, where they're buried because they were cremated, their names, and same with your dad, Frank Karras. The name is on the front, and also your mom, because she was also a veteran, is on the front with the dates.
Just to tack to that as well, the pre-eligibility for the burial, your spouse is also able to fill out that pre-eligibility for the burial and turned in at the same time as the veteran, so both of you are given the eligibility.
And I cannot ask my veterans enough. Trust me, I have helped too many members of the survivor's family go through the paperwork. And the hardest stumbling block we have is they're like, Kathleen, we can't find the DD-214. So please take Ryan's advice. Make copies and spread your DD-214 all over the place. Because again, when the time comes, that's the first thing everybody wants is a copy of the DD-214. And if you can't put your hands on it, there will be a delay. Yes, Fred?
My parents live in South San Francisco, and there's a national seminary right there in San Bruno. And he wanted to do Gary there, but he procrastinated. And by the time he figured out the paperwork, it was too full.
Yeah.
The Presidio.
They do fill up.
So if you want to be buried and you haven't done it, I do it now.
Yeah, some of us in this room were at the dedication out in Dixon for that cemetery. Again, it was the dedication, and I thought I was so smart. I had my landmarks because I have several of my friends buried out there. Now, the only hope I have is going up to the office and doing the electronic grave locator, typing in the person's last name, first name, and it's going to tell you where they're buried, because I cannot believe how many are now buried out in Dixon. It's only, yeah, it hasn't been open that long. Yeah, Gary Villalba. Oh, over in Martinez at number 10 Douglas Street, we have a gentleman, Nathan Johnson, also represents all the veterans.
Also a Marine vet. I gotta rep my Marines here. I'm sorely outnumbered by the Navy right now.
My father would be saying another jarhead. No. The only Marine I had in this chapter is now in London, outside of London, England. Johnny. Definitely. He's a Marine.
They got plenty of room in it. You know?
I go. Off of I-5 outside of Reading. Trust me, we were just there for Pearl Harbor survivors, Mel Fisher's funeral. No, where your dad is? No, that's almost at capacity. Bing was one of the very last. Your father went first, and then Bing Wallinter, USS Medusa, AR-1, went out there, and San Joaquin is almost, the only people that are going out there is a spouse that already has the property, but it's Dixon, and Dixon is just, oh my God, it's filling up quick.
Reading car fire came very close to Igo.
Yeah, Igo is off of I-5 out in the country. Yeah, we were there for the, yeah, we were. In Igo? There's lots of room out there, trust me. You got the cows and the horses. Yes, Chuck?
You mentioned that you're going to have a 214 problem. There's also problems with medical records. Because about the last of the second day or the third day after that happened, I'm passing through the hangar with a machine gun watch after 1,500 hangars. And about 2/3 of the way through it, his officer came in the back door. And I've been avoiding them like the plague.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I got almost, we passed, we covered my face, and I just read open the door, and somebody shouted, "Forward!" And I turned around, I thought, oh crap, and I got my said, "Come back here." I went back to it, turn around. I turned around, and it fell to the back of my head, my hair was all
matted down with blood.
Collar and shoulder pads and stuff, but it hadn't went down far enough to cover my name stenciled on the back of my shirt. He laid his hand on my shoulder and turned me around, and with a little more compassion, he said, "What the hell happened to you?" I said, "Well, I was in a number office, and that first bomb came crashing through the window and crashed into the back of my head, and I guess I'm still wearing some of it." He said, "Have you been to the sick bay?" Started to say hospital, and he remembered there's no hospital.
Right.
But there is a dispensary, we call it a sick bay. But no, sir, they're far too busy with people, far more serious than I'm on the farm board. We just got to let our wounded go on. He said, "You get your ass up to the sick bay right now, and don't you disobey this order." There was a guy that threatened me in the first place, so I went to the comb that stuff out of my hair. I don't know whether they used a pliers or a tweezer or what. They got the stuff out of the back of my head. I heard him dropping it into a tray. Clink, wrong thing. He said, "You want to use this stuff?" I said, "No, I'm good for everything. I wish not with a kettle."
As proof.
I mentioned that to, you remember Denver Mill?
Oh, yeah, I know Denver.
Something else.
Yeah,
When I told him,
Vietnam.
he said, if it's not in the record, it did not happen.
That's right.
10 records are all kept written in and stuff.
Yeah.
They were too damn busy to keep records. If you didn't go to the hospital, they didn't even write it down.
That's
There's
right.
no record of it or nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And so, if there's no record,
It didn't happen.
And I told him about it, I said, you know, I feel that I was lucky because I was involved in the event that I used to World War II, and my last military event that I was involved in when
Got us out.
was to go to aid in Lapland and accept the surrender of the enemy troops there. He said there is no such a place as there in Lapland. You know, just because he didn't know it was there, it's not.
Well, see, I think this is where Steve was coming from because he was Air Force and he was like, I can get my whole record, my whole military record. Be interesting just to see. How many years did you put in? 20? 20? Yeah.
That happened there that morning, that there's no record of it, and there's record that saying that supposedly happened that it did not. It didn't happen the way they did.
Yeah.
And I think Don was, we would be there. There's Don, he had a plane shot out from under him.
Yeah.
He's one of 3 guys, and then he survived.
He's one of my commanders. I have 2 commanders, Don Long and John Matus, both commanders.
Thrown overboard, expected as dead, you know? No recognition, no purple heart, no nothing like that. We didn't know record of it.
What do they say? A gross character. Uh-huh. In the newsletter, we will put the information. We'll put your information with
my phone number and email address.
Congressman Mark DeSaulnier's office over on Treat. We'll put Nathan Johnson's information in.
I have to ask Nathan if he's okay with that. He's not my coworker. We work together, but he's not my coworker.
I'll call him on Monday.
I just can't give approval for other people's stuff.
No, he's given me,
Then you're fine then.
yeah, yeah. Oh, for the Pearl Harbor, oh, here.
I'm sure he'd be fine with it.
Yeah, yeah, but I will run it by him. All right, any other questions for Ryan? Ryan, I can't thank you enough. You're more than welcome to stay and listen to the rest, or if you want to go, not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.